Good morning, good afternoon and good evening. It's Lee from Magnetic North Adventures. And today I'm going to be doing something a little bit different, and that's doing a history walk on the open moorlands of Derbyshire. So I'm not sure exactly where I'm going yet, but I'm going to have a walk around, see what I can see and tell you a little about the history when I'm up there, and show you a few things hopefully. So I hope everyone's well, and I hope that this is going to be a nice sunny day on this particular adventure. Right, so folks, I've got up to the location I want to start at. As you can see behind and all around me, I'm in the middle of nowhere. I'm up on the Derbyshire moors. I'm not saying exactly where I am, but nearest settlement is Sheffield Centre, and that is down the road that way, basically. Now, this particular moorland that I'm going to be walking on is known to have had a lot of history in the area. Lots of industrial use, lots of use of stonemasons in the area, quarrying and even working of millstones, which eventually ended up in most mills in Sheffield, Birmingham and Manchester, and even as far across as Leeds and Bradford. So I'm going to have a little walk around, see what I can see, and just so I've got a bit of help with me today, I've got a friend who was a former stonemason, so he might be able to tell me some of the features that's up here as well. Right folks, I'm going to crack on and we'll see what we can see along the way. So we've got this area here, all these rocks. Somebody's built a fire pit there. It hasn't been used for a long time. So that over there folks, that's Derbyshire over there. And then you've got all this natural gritstone in the area. Now, just up here folks, there's some area here under this, and there's some marks there on the rock. And then just here, back in days gone by, people have done these carvings onto the rocks as well. So this here is a blacksmith's hut and workshop area. So you see these grooves that run down here, and down here there would have been a water trough here, gathering water up. And my friend has just said this is where the anvil stone would be. So you'd have a metal anvil just sat in the top there, and this is where the blacksmith would be doing general farrowing and things like that. And then just here we've got another stone with some carving on. That's clearly part of the structure. And this here where the collapsed wall is. So this here, this little plateau, this would be where the actual work took place. And then obviously some more rocks out there as well. And it's quite exposed, so I imagine that a lot of leather tarps would have been used in the area, and wood, and it would have been a very basic structure. But again, it's part of the history of the quarrying, the mining and the industrialisation up in these valleys. So these holes here, there's several of them, these mark where wooden timbers would have been. So it's a very low, dark wooden hut, and I do believe that in that particular area there'd have been a grinding wheel as well as the anvil, and there'd have been sharpening tools to work in the quarries, maybe even small knives as well, just so that they could be sold as well as surplus. and I think this would have been happening around the 1780s roundabout to 1900, and that's quite a long time ago, as we know. I'm going to carry on the walk. I'm heading on further, and I'm told there's some more rock carvings to potentially see, and some mill wheels and grind wheels. Those are going to be quite early in date. So I've just come across something very, very unusual. This is a millstone grit carved pulping wheel. This is made out of the local boulders that you see up there, and such a stone would have been used for crushing paper, the early types of paper that we had in the UK, and for crushing minerals, paint samples, things like that. Now that's 4 to 5 tons there. That's many hours of work, and it's said that these particular stones from 18 to 1900 was exported over to Scandinavia, Norway, Sweden, possibly even Denmark. And they're massive pieces of industrial heritage. Now, if you just have a look, we're quite a long way from where the road is. So the question is, how would you transport something like that once it had been made all the way down to that particular road, which is all the way over there, before you could even get it loaded up, taken to market and sold? Well, it's said that a massive wooden axle would have been put into the middle, and it would have been packed with soil until it was lifted up and onto a very specialist cart. And this cart would have been specialised to hold such weight, and it would have maybe been up to 6 dray horses to actually pull such a cart. That's a lot of work. And how many people would have actually manufactured these? We don't know. But we do know that it was hard work to do such jobs in the day. So here we've got another one of those pulping wheels. This one's a lot smaller in size but a lot thicker. And this is a very specialist type of wheel. Given the size of this one, and it's unfinished, and just looking underneath, you can see it's on some packing stones. It's highly likely that this one was destined to go for one of the mill crushing wheels, being smaller and thicker, to crush rocks, minerals, or... Okay folks, so I've just come across some interesting fauna. This is bilberry plant. It's got the flowers starting to come through, and these grow to be a purplish blue berry. Now these are only known on the upperlands of the Peak District in this particular area. They're not a common plant, but they did have uses back in the days gone by for making fruit preserves from. Bilberry jam was very common pre-1950, and certainly when the miners was up here quarrying up there, this would have been known to them, and this would have been a wild food at the time. Now it is very specialist as to how to cook and prepare it, but I don't have that information, so unfortunately I can't tell you more about it. But that was a wild food 100 to 150 years ago. So this here, it doesn't look much, but this is actually a feature. It's It's got bits of waste stone on the outside, and then you've got this pit. Now this is where a stone has been worked and has successfully been transported from here finished down to that road down there. So it proves that some of the stones was actually finished and taken away. Some of the work was actually successful. Just coming up to another area, we've got this partial stone. This is known as a rough out. So they've worked on this side. It's been really nicely finished on that side. All this, that is hand tooled marks, all cut by hand tools. But unfortunately, when you get to this side, there's a big crack right through the stone. And that has actually been damaged in production and has been abandoned. All that labour lost. Right, so folks, I've just come across a very interesting structure here. This is a block that has been chiselled out on the outside, and they've used a hand pick to purposely get that from natural rock like up there to this particular shape. And they've used a pick known as a scaffold, and that would be literally an iron tool working in this area here, taking huge chunks out. And then as they were nearing the end of production, this area here starts to get work to then be removed as well. It is water filled, and currently that is water that could be reused for putting a water purifier in to refill your bottles. It's made it quite unusable. Again, all that time, all that work, all that labour to make that, and even if you succeeded in making all that, you still had to get that all the way down them paths, and again all the way to that road over there. It's a heck of a lot of work, and that would date from 1800 to 1840, the late Georgian, early Victorian times in Britain. And that is part of our industrial past. But to me, that is a work of art. It's beautiful. So when you have these big pieces, other than the chiselling of the small sections there, you'd actually use a splitting wedge, stone splitting wedge, again in iron, and that would be used to take huge chunks out to save time and labour. But unfortunately the wedge has gone a bit too far, and that's why the crack has happened. And unfortunately that would have cost somebody a lot of time and wages, maybe even failed contract. So we'll come to another working area. You've got actual millstones there, and this is how you've got to be so careful in areas like this. This is a recent landslide and collapse. You can see with the stone being very fresh in colour. So you've got to be wary when you're up near these cliffs that they can potentially move. So again, keep an eye on your surroundings. Always make sure that you're safe. And just of note, this particular area, just up there on that rock, just there, that's all bullet impact marks from training in World War II. And this was British troops in the area training for D-Day in 1944. Here we've got a open fronted building known as a banker, and that's basically a shed for storage of finished products or for tools or in storage. And over here we've got a working floor in the actual quarry. So we've got wheels that's broken as they've tried to move them. We've got stones with wedge and chisel marks. We've got finished products here, all nicely stacked, ready to be taken away. And again, we've got ones that's broken down there. And these have all been mined from this very stone that you see around me. And it is echoing because I'm now in the actual quarry itself. And as we move around here, you can see this is the actual working area. This is the area that all these stones that you've seen have come from. And then just down here, you've got this squared stone, which was also part of a building. Most likely from that particular building that was there. And again, these are all from the late 1700s and the 1800s. And truly amazing. We're really lucky to get a day where we've got such excellent, beautiful weather. So here we've got a unfinished millstone there, and you can see again just how thick that is. And then we've got the bilberry again there. Right, so folks, this trackway here is where the stones would be brought, and up there again is some of the old quarry areas. But what we've got here, just here right outside of the trackway, is one of the original loading bays. So the stones would be coming down, brought by hand, people wheeling them. They'd stop at this stone here, and that is where it would be rested until the cart was pulled into this very area. And then as soon as the cart was here, that would then be brought from the back of that stone around and pushed straight onto the cart, which would be at the same height of those very stones there, where it would be laid down. Now it's quite possible that along this route there'd have been a great many wagons travelling along this routeway down here and down to the road. And just at the side of it, you've got the remains of where a building used to be. So this could simply be where tools and that was stored, and where people waited with horses until the men at the top was ready to come off site. And this is the road that the cart would have took. So that feature we just seen there, with the holes in it, that's not natural. That's actually known as a rock cannon. And I believe what a rock cannon was they'd put black powder or a similar charge into the actual holes. There'd be fuses set, and then when the quarryman was to finish work, or there was some sort of military salute going on in the Victorian times, or even announcement of war, that would have been sounded, and that sound would have actually ricocheted across this valley that I'm stood in, and it would have been heard for a long way away. And the people working in this particular quarry, they're not native to the area. A lot of these quarrymen were specialists, and a lot actually came from Wales. And it's said that there was more of these stone cannons used in Wales as well, and there was some sort of signalling device, and they'd have been very important in the day. And to the best of my knowledge, this is the only known one here in the Peak District in North Derbyshire. So again, that's real history, and I just thought it would be really nice to show you that. And my stonemason friend, he has actually confirmed it is that actual structure as well. So I've just been informed as well that the people that was the signalmen, there was extremely specialist, well-trained people, and they timed the fuses so that they all went off at different times, and it would actually play some sort of primitive musical tune, and that would tell people who couldn't read and write exactly what was happening at the time. So even the quarrymen working would have known what those signals meant, and so that would be such an important feature for Derbyshire. And if ever I get over to Wales, I'll try and find one over there and show you what they look like over there as well. So, not filming anything in particular, I'm just having a pan round showing you exactly how beautiful Derbyshire is. There we are, folks, and that is on a really nice day for springtime. Absolutely can't beat that. What a view that is over there. And when there's no aircraft and there's no motorcycles on the nearby roads, absolutely peaceful. Really cannot beat that, can you? This is what the adventure walks are about. And the history tour is actually finished now, and just enjoying the surroundings whilst we have a bit of picked up a fair bit now, and just made right. It's been a nice enjoyable walk, and I'm now going to be walking back, and that'll be it for me. So please let me know what you thought of this particular video in the comments. I always like to read what you put in. And if you're new to the channel, don't forget to like, subscribe and comment. It's muchly appreciated. So that's another adventure. Who knows what I'm doing on the next one? Maybe magnet fishing again. Maybe an adventure walk. Never know, I might even go camping. So until the next adventure, this is Lee from Magnetic North Adventures. Bye for now, everyone.